You're listening to the East Meets West Pakistani Professional Journeys podcast, released bi-weekly every Sunday at 5 p.m. on YouTube, Spotify, Google Podcasts, and Apple iTunes. Welcome to the East Meets West Pakistani Professional Journeys podcast. Today we have Hassam Nadeem, completed his software engineering from IIU in Islamabad and his master's in software engineering from Linkoping University in Sweden. He has worked in numerous roles such as IT business analyst from Mobilinks, product owner at Epicure, and currently a senior project manager at Confiz. He's also the founder at HNA Consulting Services. Pleasure having you on, Hassan.
Thanks for bringing me up, and I would really appreciate the time that you are spending. So I would love to share my journey towards I have gone through from Pakistan to here in Canada. So I'll start with, as you have already explained, that I've been working in different capacities. So I'm a technology consultant, having 13 plus years of technology experience, consulting experience. And I work as consulting assignments as well as a full-time job. Now, currently, I am working on a contract basis with Confiz, and I am having a full-time job with IBM as well. Yeah, so that's the gist about what I'm currently doing. Now, I'll take you guys back, okay, where this all started and how I reached here to Canada. So that would be something you would be interested in, right?
Yeah, that's right. So if you could just talk about first, how was your time in Pakistan? Do you mind just telling the
Yeah.
viewers that?
Yeah, so I graduated as a Bachelor of Software Engineering student in International Islamic University and back in 2007. And then I moved on to Sweden as doing my master's in 2008. And then after that, I started working in conference systems back as a consultant, technical consultant for one year. And then I moved to Mobilink as a business analyst. I worked there for 1 year as well, and then I went to Etisalat, the telecom company in Middle East, particularly Dubai. I worked there for 5 years, and my experience, just to be clear here, that I have no contact, no whatsoever in Lahore as well. I'm originally from Karachi, and my family has moved when I was in Sweden. So, no contacts, no referrals, nothing else. It's basically completely based on my skills and the interview capacity and the requirements for the job. So I delivered some of the ERP implementations with Confiz. So there was implementations there that I've been doing as a ERP consultant. After that, moving on, doing one and a half year of work, I moved to Mobile. It was a good opportunity there, and I was based in Islamabad. I worked there for around 1 year, and then I got an opportunity for Etisalat, and I joined as a project manager back in 2030. Dubai is a cutthroat market, and I was leading a team of 15 business analysts and project managers, and all of them were from different nationalities, particularly Indian, and I was the only Pakistani that was leading the way on that front. So I've been involved in different implementations, CRM, telco, pure telco things. Then I start thinking that people who lost their job, they have to go back home. And that's how Dubai works. If you have a job, you can stay. Otherwise, you have to go back from where you come from. So that ignites me that I need to do something to go to the West and to settle permanently. So I applied as a express entry permanent residency process that is there in place for Canada. And then I applied and I got my permanent residency back in 2017. So I had soft land back in 2017, and anybody I talk to here normally say that Sam, you have great skills, you are a good fit for everything, but you have to be here to get a job. It takes 3 to 6 months to get a job here because this is a different market. This is not Middle East. And some of my family lives here, like extended family, and they also share, they have been born and raised here. So as per their experience, they always said that you got an awesome profile, but again, you need to make some connections here, and then you need to know some people around to get the first job here. So I said, okay, since childhood, I normally don't go what people say. I go against the odds. I heard that getting a job here is not easy, but I thought that I should come up with a strategy and a way to resolve these bottlenecks. I decided people are saying it will take 3 to 6 months. Let it be. let me try. Okay. So what I did, I firstly took online number, okay, for Toronto, which and diverted on my Dubai cell phone. When anybody calls me, so it directly comes here on my Middle East number. And so the first thing was that. Second thing, I set up the CV on my resume, my profile as per the standards that Canada follows. Okay. And the third thing is I was eagerly preparing myself using what is required to get the first job because I have no local education in Canada. I have no experience in Canada, but I was determined and I believe in myself. These are some of the key things I would say that really take you to further extents that you don't believe, right? So I start working on my strategy. Unfortunately, I don't have any guidance back then because it was not a very regular move at that time that people are moving from Middle East to Canada, getting a job there. Nowadays, channel like you and other people who are like Saad Rahman, who are actually guiding people, sharing experiences and all that. Back then in 2016, 17, it was not a normal or it's not about everything available thing. So you need to think by yourself. So what I did, I come up with a strategy, what I need to do. Number is second thing. Applying for a job is third thing. And what more I need. Some of the certifications that I'm moving towards or approaching the role with. So that's the third thing that I start doing it. Because it doesn't matter from where you did it. If you did it, that's how it works, right? So some kind of Scrum, Agile certifications that I start working on while sitting in Dubai. Okay, because I was working as a project manager, I certified myself because I came to know that the certification matters here, and will give you an edge from the cutthroat competition around. So that was one. I just start applying with a standard specialized role that I have been targeting to.
Which roles were you aiming for, the product manager roles in the Middle
Right.
East, or what was the process behind that?
So the roles that I was targeting was project manager, product
Okay.
owner, and product manager. So these were three roles and business analyst as well, because I have the skill set and I have the certifications that were required. So these were three, four roles, but I just still need to narrow it down to, and I created CV for different roles, two or three of them, different versions that have more relevant buzzwords that are required to get shortlisted. So I did that. But other than that, I was targeting to two to three roles that I just mentioned.
Yeah, I was gonna mention, so this is all before even landing in Canada, right?
That's correct. That's
Oh,
correct.
wow. Okay. So did you already have a job before landing to Canada? I guess that's my question. Or
Yeah, that is correct. So you're just
yeah.
pull the surprise up.
So taking in your experience, did you have any practice, or did you use consulting or like any other services to prep yourself for the interviews? Because
Yeah,
it is
to,
quite different, the dynamic in the interviews from my
yeah, that's correct.
understanding.
That's correct. So yeah, so to be honest, at that time there might be a lot of other things that are available for practice, but I use YouTube.
Once you landed here, did you have any other struggles? I guess once you had the job, did you have any other issues that came up as you
Well,
yeah.
yeah, so first 6 months was when I got a job and I started here. Okay, so I initially thought that, oh, now I'm in a good shape. This is the biggest hurdle that I have come across, and I'm successful. So I'll be having no issues in near future. But unfortunately, it was not the case. Okay. So what happened then? 6 months I worked with Epicure, and then my contract ended. I was aware about the contract, but I started hunting, but I didn't get a chance or didn't get another job, and my contract ended. So what I did is then somebody told me to set up a organization like my company, which is HNA Consulting, and because I was looking for a job, I got an initial contract for 3 months. Okay. With public sector in British Columbia, because in British Columbia, if you know the dynamics in British Columbia, the government of British Columbia sits in Victoria, and they have a lot of contractors, a lot of opportunities, and they are always open and available for exciting opportunities there. Initially, I got a 3 month contract once my job or this contract was ended, and that requires a company to be set up. And I was not aware what company is, what LLC is, how those things work and everything. But when there's a will, there's a way. To be honest, when you are looking towards it, then you find some way to do it. So I quickly set up a company, and because they are looking for a company name and everything to sign the contract and everything. So I got a job for 3 months as a BA at that time, but I worked there for 3 months. And in the meanwhile, I started hunting a job, a full-time job, because this was an initial 3-month contract. That was a small testing and QA role, particularly with a BA skill set, validating requirements as well. So I took that. And even though I was a product owner, I was downgrading myself, but I don't think it that way. It's just a jump that you need to take when you are in this kind of situation. So what I did is I worked there for 3 months, and then I got a job in Fujitsu. Okay. And as a senior consultant
Yep.
and for implementation, and I worked for almost 4 years with Fujitsu. Then that contract shows me a way that, okay, job is one thing, contract is another thing, but it's more beneficial to work on a contract financially and your skill set wise as well. So I start hunting for contracts as well. Okay. And so I set up my company properly, it's HNA Consulting.ca, and I start getting some clients from there as well. And I start working Jitsu as a senior consultant or technology consultant. So that's what I did. And then I worked there for 4 years. The thing that, because initially I see gelling in the environment is something that is your skill. People are comfortable with you. You have to work with empathy. You have to work with care. And people that this is something that values here a lot in Canada, particularly.
Yep.
Not in Middle East, not in Pakistan. They are working with empathy, with care, with respect, and delivering at the high quality. So that is something that values here, and that's what I have seen over the years. And so what I did, so somebody from my back in Confiz, one of my old bosses contacted me, and they said that we have a contract and I want a PM because I've worked with you in the past. Like it was 10 years back. It was nothing that, and he was also in Canada. And we used to meet, say, once a 6 months when I was here in Canada, even though I was in Vancouver and he was in Toronto. But whenever I come to Toronto, I just need to have a chat, a cup of coffee with him, with no intention to get any job or anything. It's just to maintain the relationship that we have. Because 11 years back, when I came back from Sweden, he gave me an opportunity to prove myself, right? So that's the relationship building that is really required here. It can be from people within Canada or outside Canada, it doesn't matter. The thing
Right.
that matters is how genuine you are, how competent you are, and how skillful you are when it comes to your work. So he still remembers the work that I did 10 years back. And he said that we have a contract with Confiz and I want you to be part of my team. I said, I'm already working. And so he said, it's a part time contract and it's a senior project manager delivery. And there's a flexibility there. So I'm up for it. So I said, okay, if that's the case, then I joined that contract through my LLC. Then I switched to IBM. And currently, from last year, I've been working with IBM as an industry consultant and as a project manager. I was out of work as well. So it's not that
Right.
a fairy tale that come across in Canada. I was out of work for 1 month because I was open to do any kind of work. It's not that I am a project manager or I am a senior resource. I won't do this or that. If a BA work is there, I'm open to that for now because I don't have a society to impress. I have a family to feed. Okay. So
Yeah.
that's something we need to make sure that we should able to ensure it. So
Right.
that's what I did. Then, yeah. So now, right now, I'm doing a contract plus a full time job with IBM. So that's my journey here in Canada. It has been 7 years. And now I'm a citizen from last 2 years. And
That's
I'm
awesome.
enjoying my time here in Canada. I have kids here, and I am currently living in Ontario.
Nice. And I guess, like, in terms of managing your time between your consulting work, like your own sole proprietorship and your work full time, like, how do you, and obviously you mentioned you have family as well. Like, how do you like balance all those items?
Yeah, so that's a really good question, actually. And firstly, my wife is really supportive. Okay, and she take care of the kids and make sure that I have enough time and enough energy to do two jobs. I'm flexible on the contract part. There's a time zone difference. One is based or East Coast based, one is West Coast based. I have a 3 hour difference as well. That really helps me manage my time in a skillful and professional. In my full time job with IBM, It's back-to-back meetings, leading multi-million dollar projects. It's not easy.
Right.
Groups are with a team of 12, 13 people, professionals, and all of them are mostly from Canada or US. So it's really something that takes your time. So back to your question, that how I manage it. I manage my work in a proactive manner. Firstly, that what is the priority? I prioritize my work, what's coming up, what is important, and all that kind of. So it's part of priority. Then, what are the low hanging fruits that I can quickly get some quick wins around that? It might be reviewing a document, it might be having a quick meeting, or if a meeting is not required, I want to make myself available. If it's something that I'm not giving any value in, because I believe in value. Um,
Right.
I'm not a person who just sits in the meeting and then listens the meeting and that's it. Okay, so I'm a person who is a strong believer in giving value. I focus on low hanging fruits, quick wins, okay, and try not to distract myself with social media or anything during my
Right.
work day. And I work from home, so that gives me leverage as well to manage myself in a efficient and a proactive manner. Then after that, I try to manage and complete my work around 6 to 7 p.m. Ontario time, managing both the work, both the jobs actually. And because you have to be efficient as well if you want to manage time. It's not only the proactive piece, it's not only the low hanging fruits, it's about your eagerness to get the job done. That is
Right.
something, and that comes from inside. It's not that somebody can put it inside your heart or inside your brain. And you have to be skillful enough that you can contribute individually and within the team as well.
Got you. And in terms of if you were to go back in time, if you were when you first landed, is there any advice you would give your younger self?
Sure. Yeah.
Uh,
Well, Azim, I would say I would like to tell my audience here that, like Umar Ayub, one of the prominent people that tells the myths about and removing the myths about getting a job here, I completely 100% agree with him. To be honest, people who don't know who is Umar Ayub, he is one of the professionals who is currently working in Canada. He's a supply chain professional, but what he says is actually I have done it practically, has proved it, that if you work smartly, you don't need referral, don't need support from your previous colleagues or anything. Now, these are things that are nice to have. It's not a requirement. Okay.
yeah.
So that is something that, and you don't need a local degree, because in IT, people like people. I have worked with IBM. I have worked with Fujitsu, big companies, right? Fortune 500, Fortune 100, but they have never asked me my degree. Okay. Because when I start talking in the interview, they know or know how much depth I have, and they are experienced people, the
Yeah.
senior leadership that takes the. We have 5, 7 interviews in Canada, and people are quite, and the interview process is quite thorough
Yeah.
and rigorous as well. Degree is doing a local education is nice to have. Reference is nice to have. Any other influence on the job is nice to have. I
Yeah.
believe, and I have practically seen it. Removing the myths and believe in yourself. What is helpful is believing in yourself. Believe that, do focus yourself what you are targeting towards your goal. You should be clear about your goal. People are not clear when they come here because they have
Yeah.
not done their homework. Okay,
Right.
they have not know the dynamics about it. And people ask me as well that how do I know the dynamic? You need to talk to, you need to go through the material that is available, people experiences that is available on online. If you are doing a soft landing, talk to people. Don't sit in an apartment that you have rented for some time and just spending some time doing your PR thing and medical and all that kind of thing and then coming back.
Right.
Explore it. Talk to people. You can find different types of people. Like my landlord was a handyman. Okay. And he was from Pakistan. So what kind of help I can get from him professionally? Nothing. But at least he gave me an idea that what is required or how the culture is here in Canada. But he gave me because he was here for the last 15 years. He was a handyman. But he told me that being polite is not a weakness here. It's a strength.
Yeah.
Being
Hmm.
working with empathy is not a weakness here. In Middle East, it's a weakness. In Pakistan, it's a weakness. People start taking you for granted, right? Working or speaking up is not something that or speaking up or giving your different opinion is not something that is bad here. These kind of things I'm getting from a handyman. So these kind of things you need to learn. You need to again read between the lines, right? So you need to interact. You need to understand. If people are smiling, it doesn't mean that they are showing their weakness, okay, or they are inclined towards you. It's not that. You need to understand. This is what cultural things are there. You need to understand. So it's not only the professional piece here, it's the cultural piece that is really important. And I already mentioned, and I cannot emphasize more, that referral, previous contacts, degree, local college, these are all nice to have. It's not a must have. If you are skillful and you are working in right direction, it might take some time. You have to be persistent. People got depressed normally, said, no, we cannot break it out. It's not like that. Nowadays, I have experienced that we have a lot of polished people from Pakistan who are actually doing podcast or other related material that really helps people to start their journey here in a comfortable way. So everything in YouTube is not wasted. There are a lot of channels like your one as well that help people and give real insights around the current Canadian situation, current market, and how you can get in.
Got you. So I know you briefly talked about the cultural ties. So in terms of the cultural ties you've maintained from Pakistan, is there any ones that stand out that you've kept in Canada from taking from Pakistan or even in the Middle East? Are there any specific ones that have helped you reach where you are now?
Yeah, I have, as I mentioned previously, that I normally maintain my relationship. It might be from
Okay.
Pakistan, it might be from Middle East, and it's in Canada. So I still I am in touch with people to whom will I work with in Middle East or in Pakistan. Okay, like for example, I was doing my PMP. Okay, so I signed off and shared the documentation with him because for PMP there's a documentation required, the experience and all that, and somebody has to vet it as well, right? I shared with him and I said that yeah, I'm doing my PMP, my Agile ACP, and I need your approval or your signature to vet my experience. So well, I was really excellent. Similarly, when he visited, so after a few years, 5, 6 years, when he visited to Canada with his family, okay, so he was my guest here and I was trying to facilitate him as well. He was on a 15, 20-day tour. Okay, but I kept my relationship to a certain level that people are comfortable and be part and become a host for them as well. So this is one of the examples to maintain my relationship. Don't ever, most of the people say that don't burn your bridges is a high level term. I believe, or what worked for me is burn for burning the bridges is the extreme form. I would say keep a healthy working relationship. If you want to come back someday, you should have
Yeah.
enough capacity or have a probability to come back again. As I have just showed you with my experience that 10 years back, I was working with Confiz back in 2011. And then I was hired as a contractor 10 years back, 11 years after 11 years with the same manager. If I would have left on wrong foot, then my manager would never remember me.
Okay, yeah.
So
Great.
that's about it.
Awesome. So I guess we can end off this interview. Do you mind just how do you define success? It could be either both professionally, personally, both, whatever you want to share. Like, how do you define it?
Yeah, for me, success is showing your progress. Okay. It can be professionally, it can be personally. The place that you are 1 year before, you should have progressed yourself and have accomplishment around that. For me, success is not earning more money. It's more about how you are making impact for the people around you. That is called success. If I like from this podcast, if one person learns from this
Yeah.
and apply something from this is a success for me for spending 1 hour and giving this opportunity and speaking up with my experience. So this is
Right.
success for me. So it's not about just the career success or how I believe that success is something that if you create a impact even to one person, that's a success for me. Anything that can help other people, newcomers or existing people, that is what I call a success, that you are doing something better for other people rather than just for yourself.
Awesome. Thanks for taking the time today, and it was great chatting with you.
Thank you. Thanks, Azam. And I would like to thank you for giving me this opportunity on this particular platform so people can go through it and review it. I would love to answer any further questions if people ask. I would love to share and give it back to the community.
Awesome.